Okay, I want you to picture a business scenario for me.
Mm.
It's a little baffling. You've got a company, they just pull in $3 billion in revenue in one quarter.
Huge number.
Yeah, and they beat earnings expectations. So on paper, it looks like a massive win, right? But then you dig in a little, you look at the foot traffic, the actual people walking in the door, and it's gone down.
That's the classic price over volume paradox. We're making more money, but from fewer people, which usually just means prices are going up.
But that can't last forever.
It's a dangerous game. Eventually, you run out of runway to keep raising prices.
And that is exactly the tightrope Chipotle Mexican Grill is walking right now. We're doing a deep dive into their Q4 2025 numbers, but really, it's all about the new strategy they just rolled out for 2026.
They're calling it the recipe for growth.
Sounds nice and corporate, but when you actually read the earnings call transcript from February 3rd, it feels more like an aggressive scramble to fix some real problems before they get out of hand.
Oh, it really is. So we've got the earnings report, the press release, and the full transcript from the CEO, Scott Boatwright. And our mission here is to figure out how this burrito giant is going to reverse a traffic slide, automate its kitchens, and somehow monetize menu hacks, all at the same time.
All right, so let's start with that big headline number. Revenue is up 4.9%. It's $3 billion.
Yeah.
But comparable sales, which is really the health check,
It's a key metric.
it dropped 2.5%. That's a red flag.
It's a pretty big red flag. Now, to be fair to them, they did have some things working against them in Q4. You have to mention Winter Storm Fern.
Right, the storm that basically shut down, half the country?
Exactly. And management says that storm alone cost them about 100 basis points of growth. So a full percentage point of that drop was just bad weather. Stores closed, people stayed home.
Okay, but even if you give them that 1%, traffic was still negative. You can't blame it all on the snow.
You can't. And it looks like they know that. They're not just waiting for the sun to come out. They are fundamentally overhauling how the food even gets made. This is the part of the report that really jumped out at me, the HEAP strategy.
HEAP, it's the high-efficiency equipment package.
It doesn't have the catchiest name, but operationally, I mean, this is a sea change.
It sounds like robots are taking over the kitchen, but when I looked into it, it's more like superpowered grills and slicers.
Think of it as industrial-grade optimization. You have dual-sided grills cooking meat on both sides at once, automated produce slicers. Right now, it's in about 350 restaurants.
Okay.
The goal is to get it into 2,000 by the end of 2026.
2,000. That's an incredibly fast rollout. That's almost half their entire fleet in 1 year. Why the crazy rush?
It's all about labor. It's all about time. Management said on the call, and this number is just staggering, this new equipment saves them 2 to 3 hours of prep time per day.
Whoa, hang on. 2 to 3 hours. As a
Yeah.
restaurant manager, that changes my entire world. There's a huge amount of labor cost.
It changes everything. But the key is where that time goes. They're not just, sending people home early. They're reinvesting that time into what they call throughput.
Throughput. The holy grail of the lunch rush.
It's the only thing that matters between noon and 2. If you have a line snaking out the door, your revenue is literally capped by how fast you can build a burrito.
And if your grill person is stuck chopping onions because they got behind in the morning.
The whole line grinds to a halt, you lose sales, people see a stalled line and they just walk.
So this HEAP thing means that at 12:30 p.m., the crew isn't scrambling to catch up.
Exactly. Scott Boatwright was really clear about this. He said this equipment eliminates prep tasks during peak hours. It's a buffer. The crew can just focus on assembly and service, not dicing tomatoes.
And I imagine there's a quality thing here, too. We've all had that Chipotle experience where the steak is a little...
Or the chicken's a little burnt because the cook was juggling 5 things. They claim this leads to juicier steak and chicken every single time because the machine is just more precise than a human can be under pressure.
And it makes training easier, I bet.
Massively easier. You don't have to teach a brand new employee the art of the grill. You teach them how to use the machine. The learning curve just shrinks.
Which in a high turnover industry is, that's invaluable.
It is, and they're already seeing it in the numbers. The stores with HEAP are already seeing hundreds of basis points of comp sales lift. That's just a fancy way of saying the lines are moving faster and they're selling more food.
Okay, so the kitchen is getting a high-tech upgrade. But let's talk about the food itself, because the menu is shifting in a way that feels almost clinical. They're leaning so hard into this protein trend.
This is them reacting in real time to what's happening in the broader culture, specifically the rise of GLP-1 users, people on Ozempic, Wegovy, those drugs.
I hear about this constantly, but is it really big enough to affect a company like Chipotle? Is it actually moving burrito sales?
Well, the data says yes. They reported that orders with extra protein are up 35% recently.
35%, wow.
That's a huge behavioral shift. People are skipping the rice, maybe skipping the tortilla, and just doubling up on the meat.
And Chipotle's move here is really clever. Instead of fighting it, they're just formalizing the menu hacks that people were already doing.
It's so smart. For years, people on social media have been showing how to order like a single taco or just a side of chicken to get a cheap, high-protein snack. Instead of shutting that down, they're putting it on the menu.
So what does that actually look like?
Well, they're officially promoting a single taco, which has about 15 grams of protein for around $3.50, and they've added something called a high-protein cup, which is basically just your choice of meat in a cup for like $3.80.
$3.80. I have to say, just seeing a price point under $4 at Chipotle is kind of jarring. I'm so used to my bowl being like $15.
It completely changes the narrative, right? There's been so much chatter online about the $20 burrito because of inflation. This creates a new entry point for a snacker, a student, or someone who just doesn't want a giant meal.
But isn't that risky? I mean, if my usual order is a $12 bowl, and now I see I can get a $4 cup of chicken, aren't they just encouraging me to spend less?
That is the risk, for sure. You don't want to trade down your loyal customers. But they're betting on frequency. Maybe you still get your bowl for lunch, but now you also come back at 4 p.m. for a protein cup after the gym. Or maybe you stopped coming at all, and this brings you back in the door. They just need bodies in the store.
Speaking of who's in the store, there was a demographic stat in this report that it completely blew my mind. I read it twice.
Let me guess. The income stat.
Yes. 60% of Chipotle's core customers have a household income over $100,000.
It's an unbelievable number for what we think of as a fast food brand. It really puts them in a different category from, a McDonald's or a Taco Bell. They're basically a luxury QSR.
So is that why they've been so resilient against inflation? Because their customer base can just absorb it?
It helps, but it also creates a different problem. That high-income customer might be less sensitive to price, but they are very, very sensitive to boredom. They need novelty. They need new news to keep them coming back.
And that's where the LTOs, the limited time offers, come in. They're doing more of those now, right?
Way more. They announced 4 LTOs for 2026, which is a big step up for them. They need that constant drumbeat of new flavors to keep that core demographic engaged.
And they're leading with the biggest one they have. Chicken al pastor is coming back.
The fan favorite. It's back on February 10th, and the CEO said that the social media requests for al pastor were double any other item they've ever had.
It's so smart, that manufactured scarcity. You
Yeah.
feel like you have to go this month because it might be gone next month?
It's pure psychology, but it works. It drives traffic. And with traffic down, they need to pull every psychological lever they've got.
Okay, so faster kitchens, new protein-focused menu items. But there's a big piece missing here, and that's data. You mentioned they have a huge blind spot with their customers.
Yeah, this is a classic retail problem. If you order on the Chipotle app, they know you. They know your order history, how often you come, everything. And 90% of app users are in the rewards program.
Makes sense. It's easy.
But if you walk into the restaurant and stand in line, only 20% of those customers bother to scan for rewards.
So for 80% of their actual in-person customers, Chipotle has no idea who they are.
None. It's a black hole of data. So this spring, they're doing a major relaunch of the rewards program. They're talking about using AI and gamification to try and convince that person in line to actually pull out their phone.
And we have a pretty good idea of who that person in line is. The CEO, Scott Boatwright, he told this funny story about being at a Chipotle giveaway event in Florida.
Oh yeah, the Father Time story.
He said he's standing in line, and he felt like Father Time because the average age of everyone around him was like 20 or 21.
It's a great little anecdote, but the business point is crucial. The brand still has a death grip on Gen Z. That's a demographic that is so hard to capture and keep. Chipotle's still got them.
And now they're trying to capture bigger groups too. This build your own Chipotle, 4 groups.
Yeah.
What's the strategy there?
That's all about catering and efficiency. Right now, group orders are less than 3% of sales. But think about office lunches or study groups. Ordering for 5 people is a nightmare.
Oh, it's the worst. You're terrified you're going to mix up which bowl gets the hot salsa.
Exactly. So build your own just sends you the components, a tray of chicken, a tray of rice, all the toppings. The group assembles it themselves. It's easier for the kitchen, and it encourages bigger orders. They think that could be a double-digit business for them long term.
They are just looking for growth everywhere. In the menu, the app, the kitchen, and they're also just building more stores. The pace of construction is just relentless.
It's almost hard to believe. In 2025, they opened 334 new restaurants. A record.
And they're not slowing down?
Nope. Accelerating. The target for 2026 is 350 to 370 new openings.
That is basically a brand new Chipotle opening every single day of the year.
It's a huge vote of confidence. Their long-term goal is 7,000 restaurants in North America. They think there's so much more room to grow.
And it's not just North America anymore, is it? The international story is finally getting real. For years, it felt like they were just dabbling overseas.
They were, but it seems like they've cracked the code. They're getting strong returns in London and Frankfurt. But the really big story is the Middle East.
The Dubai opening.
Yes, they partnered with the Al Shaya group over there. And the CEO described the scene at the Dubai opening as electric. He said there were thousands of guests literally chanting Chipotle.
Chanting. For a fast food restaurant, that sounds like a concert. I can't imagine people chanting for a burrito.
It just speaks to the power of the brand globally, and because of that success, now they're moving into Saudi Arabia, Singapore, and South Korea in 2026.
South Korea. Now that'll be a test. That is a very sophisticated food culture.
It will be, but if the model works in Dubai, it proves it has legs.
Okay, so we've laid out a lot of optimism here. New tech, new menu, new countries. But I want to bring it back to the financial reality, because they are forecasting a really tough start to 2026.
Right, we have to talk about the pricing dilemma. Inflation is a problem again. They're expecting costs to go up mid-single digits, like 3 or 4%, early in the year.
And what's driving that? Is it labor?
Mostly cost of goods. It's the usual suspects. Beef prices are up. Avocado prices are, as always, volatile. And cooking oil is more expensive.
So the standard move here is you just pass that cost on to me, the customer. You raise menu prices to protect your profit margin.
That is the textbook play. But Chipotle is intentionally not doing that. They're only taking what they call modest price increases of 1 to 2%.
Okay, so do the math for me. If your costs go up 4% and you only raise prices 2%, you're losing money on every sale, relatively speaking.
You're squeezing your own margins. And they were very upfront about this. They said, yes, our margins are going to get squeezed, especially in the first quarter.
But why? Why would you voluntarily hurt your own profitability like that?
To protect their value proposition. They know customers are stretched thin. Even their $100K households start to notice when a bowl goes from $12 to $15. If they get too aggressive with pricing now, they might lose those customers for good.
So it's a defensive move.
Yeah.
Take the hit now to keep people coming in and just pray that beef prices come down later in the year.
That's the bet. They're trading short-term margin for long-term loyalty and traffic. It's risky, but given that traffic is already negative, it's probably the smart move. They have to stop the bleeding.
Which explains their full-year guidance. They said comparable sales for 2026 would be about flat. That feels so conservative for a company with a recipe for growth.
It is super conservative, but they'd rather underpromise and overdeliver this time around. It's all about managing expectations on Wall Street while they do all this work under the hood.
So if we zoom out, 2026 for Chipotle isn't really a growth year. It's more of a rebuilding year.
That's a perfect way to put it. They're installing the new equipment to fix the foundation. They're redesigning the menu to lock in a new kind of customer. They're building out the footprint. They're just fortifying the castle.
Making the whole operation so efficient that when the economy does turn around, they're perfectly positioned to capture all that upside.
That's the plan. They're not just riding the economic waves. They're trying to build a better boat.
You know, before we wrap, I have one last thought I want to throw at you. We talked about this wealthier, health-conscious customer, the GLP-1 user, and we talked about Chipotle selling $3.80 cups of meat.
Right.
I feel like we're watching Chipotle slowly morph into something else. It used to be where you went to just get an enormous, carb-heavy, delicious meal for cheap. Now it feels like it's becoming a nutritional utility.
A nutritional utility. I like that phrase.
Think about it. If you're that person, that high-income, health-focused person, you don't go to Chipotle for a cheap meal anymore. You go because you need 45 grams of clean protein with specific macros, and you need it in under 5 minutes.
You're shifting from fresh Mexican grill to high-efficiency nutrition hub.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if the protein cup, the single taco, becomes the main event, I mean, does the burrito eventually just become a side dish? Are we looking at a future where Chipotle's main product is just a customized tray of protein and vegetables.
It's entirely possible. As our whole culture's definition of healthy shifts from just fresh ingredients to macronutrient control, Chipotle is shifting right along with it. They're becoming a utility for the optimized self.
A nutritional utility, something to chew on, along with that chicken al pastor.
But make sure you order it on the app to get your points.
That's our deep dive into Chipotle's 2026 strategy. We've hit the kitchen tech, the protein play, and the big financial bet they're making. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.